Welcome to News 360. It's 19 hours GMT and it's about 10 p.m. Russian local time where the World Cup is taking place. My name is Isa Moni.
And
this is News 360, Solis.
Yes, indeed. It is News 360. I am Solis Rose Quarter. Let's take a look at the headlines for this evening.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxipate, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Spray.
Coming up tonight, 50 flood victims at Streso in the Busumche district of the Ashanti region rescued.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia urges Ghanaians to shun political and religious differences and prioritize nation building.
And Ghana LPG Operators Association threaten legal action should government implement the cylinder recirculation policy.
In Mission, residents of Yala in the West District of the Upper West Region excited about construction work on new maternity block after Mission reportage on health challenges some 8 months ago.
And on the international front, polls underway across Mexico after a campaign marred by some of the worst political violence in the country for decades.
Russia 360 segment is brought to you by Premier Health Insurance.
All right, we're on News 360. Thierry is here to bring us Russia 2018.
Yes,
Russia was the late
and
Thierry.
adding to France and Uruguay's qualification to the last 8 of the World Cup. Would you believe it? The 2010 World Cup winners, or the world champion Spain, are out of the competition. To who? The host nation, Russia. They were branded the worst ever host of the tournament in its history, but they really are proving a lot of people wrong. Currently ongoing is another one between Croatia and Denmark. Later, right here on News 360, we'll bring you the latest developments in that game, plus a lot more in the World Cup. Another legend in world football has retired. My name is Thierry Nyan, and I'll come your way again.
Well, thanks for staying with us here on News 360. Let's start from the Ashanti region and flood-related stories. And 50 residents of Streso in the Busumche district of the Ashanti region have been rescued after Saturday's floods in the Ashanti region. The victims were trapped in their homes during the downpour. A report by Benjamin Adu.
Operation by the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, and the Ghana National Fire Service carried out the exercise. At Dompoase and Abrabo new site, some of the victims spent the night in classrooms of nearby public basic schools.
We were indoors when the flood entered our rooms, compelling us to leave. As at now, I've lost everything. I felt it was a spillover from a dam. We are really struggling and plead with government to come to our aid as we have lost all our belongings.
The station officer at the Regional Fire Service headquarters, Dominic Kumi, attributed the cause of the flooding to putting up structures on waterways.
Those who are having land in the riverside, anytime they see there is rain, they have to secure themselves. But other than that, always we have the same problem.
Busumche District NADMO Coordinator Yao Ichampong called for laws to stop the practice.
We are pushing forward for an ally that is going to help us take actions against people who build in waterways, which is going to empower NADMO, because as we stand now, we don't have any constitutional element that is supporting our activities.
Meanwhile, squatters who were evicted from the Anyam Anglonga Junction slum in Kumasi following the flash floods are still counting their losses after the exercise. They described the action by the KMA and NADMO as violation of their human rights and appealed to the government to come to their aid. Kumasi and its environs witnessed massive flooding Thursday night after a 5-hour downpour leading to the death of 10 people. Some communities remain cut off from the regional capital.
A bridge linking Afrancho and several communities in the Ifija-Kwabre district of the Ashanti region is on the verge of collapse following years of neglect. Residents claim they have been sidelined by government considering the deplorable state of the road. They want government to take immediate steps to repair their bridge to avoid any disaster. A report by Chelsea Ifafrempa and Ibrahim Abubakar.
The major road linking Afrancho to several adjoining communities in the district keeps deteriorating anytime it rains, affecting smooth vehicular movement. Worse still is the poor state in which this bridge is. Motorists and other road users contend being terrified as the bridge is submerged after every downpour.
This road was done 5 years ago, but it has turned to be a rough road now, and the difficulty is too much. This mountain that you see there is difficult to climb when it rains, and a lot of accidents also occur.
Commercial drivers lament their business is not profitable due to constant breakdown of their vehicles.
The flood waters usually enter our car engines, resulting in the breakdown of our vehicles.
Residents want the government to, as a matter of urgency, reshape the road and repair the bridge.
When we are done with the roads, then we will tackle other developmental projects.
DCE for Ifija-Kwabre, Kwesi Kakari Achimfo, said the assembly is making efforts to fix the road.
Major roads are, in fact, not easy for the assembly. For reshaping and doing other things, the assembly can take it up. That of Himan and Afranchu road, we'll be able to do it. We've brought the regional engineer. They've come to see all this. They've sent it to Accra.
And now let's move away from that and do some stories relating to the demise of the former vice president. More dignitaries continue to throng the residence of the late former vice president Kwesi Emisa Arthur at Northridge in Accra to commiserate with his family. Among them this morning was former President John Dramani Mahama.
It was a solemn mood here at the rich residence of the late Vice President. Grief-stricken members of the Methodist Church had gathered to commiserate with the family. Former President John Dramani Mahama, under whom the late Kwesi Emisa Arthur served, was also present.
I must say that it is his experience and a lot of the practical knowledge he has in project implementation that made us able to achieve within 4 years some of the successes that we achieved as a government. He was very athletic, very fit, and so this comes as a shock to all of us. But we just pray that his wife and family have the strength to bear this loss.
Other personalities shared their fond memories.
When I first came back from the US in 1990, and he was, I think, Deputy Minister of Finance, and I was trying to, establish, how to begin data bank. And he was one of those who gave me audience, and, it is kind of the foundation to where we are today.
He was very committed to his work, a very intelligent man, and he believed that we could turn the fortunes of this country, based on our own natural resources. So I think he was a visionary, and he drove us to follow the philosophy of our social democracy.
Know your staff. Be cool and collected. It is not how firing you can be that changes the situation. but be principled and fair. You know, that was him. He was cool, but you couldn't bend him in respect of principles for him to change his mind on principles.
Now, President Akufo-Addo says he had no choice but to act on the recommendations of the committee set up by the Chief Justice to remove the EC chairperson, Charlotte Osei, and her 2 deputies. Speaking to the Ghanaian community in Nouakchott, Mauritania, on the sidelines of the 31st AU Summit, the president noted the law is no respecter of persons.
More than 500 Ghanaians reside in Mauritania's capital, Nouakchott. The last time a Ghanaian president visited Mauritania was in 1989 when Flight Lieutenant Rawlings visited that country. Ghanaians here are mostly in dry fish and cow skin production. Spokesperson Charles Osafo recounted the difficulties in renewing their passports since there is no Ghana mission. President Akufo-Addo assured them of the establishment of an honorary consul in Mauritania. A minute silence was observed in remembrance of former Vice President Kwesi Arthur, who passed on Friday morning.
And so, and those of all the faithful departed, rest and abide in the bosom of the Almighty.
On the removal of the Electoral Commission chairperson and her 2 deputies, President Akufo-Addo said the action was based on recommendations by a committee set up by the Chief Justice.
The law states that I accept any recommendations made by the committee, reason why I had to take that decision.
He added his action was purely constitutional and called for support for their replacement. The president encouraged Ghanaians living abroad to register for the National Identification Card when it gets to their turn.
We have begun the registration process in Ghana. After, it will be your turn.
I mean, at the end of the day, the AU will also have a card for all of us Africans. So it will make the movement between our countries much easier.
Now, the 31st Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union is underway in Mauritania's capital, Nouakchott. For the next 2 days, the African leaders will dedicate their energies in marshalling strategies to deal with corruption to promote effective continental advancement.
This year's Ordinary Session of the Union is on the theme, Winning the Fight Against Corruption. The opening ceremony featured a number of messages, including a statement from the AU chairperson, Paul Kagame of Rwanda. He expressed sympathy to countries that have been affected by terrorist activities recently, including Ethiopia, Mali, and Zimbabwe. He condemned the attacks and called for a concerted effort to tackle terrorism on the continent.
We condemn these violent attacks and convey condolences for the lives that have been lost. We are heartened by the strides made by the leadership of Eritrea and Ethiopia toward normalization of relations. You have the African Union's unwavering support.
President Akufo-Addo, who is joining his colleagues, will also be participating in high-level panel discussions about how to improve women's participation in politics.
Now let's move on to issues on Republic Day. And Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has called on Ghanaians to put aside their political and religious differences and prioritize nation building. He made the plea at an event to mark this year's Senior Citizens Day in Accra.
Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia recounted the measurable contributions of senior citizens and listed some government's programs geared towards improving their welfare, including provision of accommodation and the free pass policy. He encouraged them to avoid being divisive, but support government pursue its programs.
On this important day in our history, I wish to urge all Ghanaians to put their political and ethnic and other religious differences aside and help build the country and make it a force to reckon with on the African continent. We should be seen to be indivisible, even in our differences.
He again spoke about other alternative initiatives to create jobs for the team in youth.
We have brought in the Nation Builders Corps, where we are going to hire 100,000 graduates this year. They will start work by the grace of God next month. We are moving to bring in major reforms in the area of one village, one dam, one district, one factory, to build the sort of Ghana that you have been dreaming about and you have been working hard for all your lives. And we ask you to continue to support the President and this government to make these dreams possible.
Available figures from the Gender Ministry indicate that there are 1.6 million elderly people in the country, out of which more than 502,000 have been enrolled on the National Health Insurance Scheme and more than 304,000 benefiting from the LEAP program. Minister of Gender and Social Protection, Otiko Jaba, underscored the need to increase their grant.
The ministry is also in the process of ensuring that we start a new initiative where Ghana will have a day recreational center for the aged. We could go as elderly people to interact with each other, play draft, check how to use the internet, and socialize. I would be bringing this proposal to Cabinet indeed, so that we can even have one district, one senior citizens center.
The Gender Ministry is to present before Cabinet a draft bill to improve on the pension and gratuities of senior citizens and retirees.
Now to some other stories. The Ghana LPG Operators Association says it will take legal action if government goes ahead to implement the cylinder recirculation policy. The gas operators have long kicked against the program, indicating it would lead to the collapse of their businesses. A report by Benjamin Adu.
The recirculation module, which was proposed by the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, will ensure that LPG filling points are sited out of densely populated areas and commercial centers. These plans will procure, brand, maintain, and fill empty cylinders to be distributed to consumers and households through retail outlets and stations deemed to be low risk after government's assessment. At a National Executive Council meeting in Kumasi, the association requested government to suspend the implementation of the policy because of potential job losses.
There are two objectives for the policy. One is safety, two is penetration. And we believe that if government sits down with us, we the operators, sits down with marketers, sits down with the truck drivers as well as the installers, we would definitely come up with a better alternative to CRM as to how to improve safety and also increase penetration.
The association says it is considering legal action.
We are in a democracy. We've sent a petition to the highest authorities. We are seeing what happens. If all that fails, we would go to court.
The Ashanti Regional Vice Chairman of the association, Alhaji Tanko Ali, insisted the new policy cannot prevent explosions at outlets.
The automating machine they are bringing, it is human that is going to man it. So I don't see the safety of that. If only they are saying it is safety, it means they are not telling us the truth. But they are trying to enforce something on us.
There are currently 160 LPG filling stations across the country, creating 3,000 direct employment and 4,000 indirect employment.
Aspirants for national executive positions of the New Patriotic Party have collectively committed to a clean campaign ahead of the party's Congress next weekend. Canvassing for votes in the Ashanti region, they express confidence the party will come out of the Congress more united. Here is Benjamin Edu's report.
The Congress to elect national executives for the next 4 years will be held in Kufredua on July 7. Candidates vying for the various positions have intensified their campaign activities. Many of them were at the party's Ashanti regional office wrapping up their campaign activities. Those who spoke to the news team were optimistic of victory, stressing that the contest is a family affair to promote the party's democratic tenets.
I know the problem of Nasara. I'm a founding member of Nasara. I've been with Nasara for a very long time. I know the problems. I'll surely solve it. And if they vote for me, they wouldn't regret. Those that are contesting with me, we belong to the same party. We have to do decent campaign. Don't go out there castigating your brother. The moment you castigate your brother, if you win, you cannot ask him to come and help you.
I have a very good welfare I'm bringing on board to the party. That welfare is going to take care of the grassroots. I believe strongly the grassroots is the heartbeat of the party. Without the grassroots, the party is not there. And I believe strongly if they vote for Haji Aruka, she would bring power to their doorsteps. One, I am going to build a clubhouse stroke guest house for the party in Greater Accra.
I have a good message that I'm telling the party. I am telling them we need to build a strong party because with the structures, I believe in party structures. I came through the structures. I started as a polling station women organizer through to where I am today. So if we have a very vibrant party and we have a strong party on the ground, come 2020, the work will be easier for us to execute.
You're watching News 360 and there will be more after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome back to News 360. It's now time for Mission. It is supported by Star Ghana with funding from Danida, the UK Aid and the European Union. And several children at Go Atanda community in the Bongo district of the Upper East region will not be able to go to school if district authorities do not step in to provide infrastructure. A volunteer has started a school that was closed down over 10 years ago, but pupils still study under very trying conditions. Brighton Anfo reports over 500 pupils are still out of school.
Attention, attention, Erica, give us the tea. God bless our homeland, Ghana. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong.
Most of the kids, especially the class 4 children, they said they will not go to any place. They were in the house, they were dropouts, so I encouraged them to start the whole thing. So if you are telling them to move to another place, they say they will not go, because if they are to move to it is far, they will not go to school.
Just a few have started school, but many more at home. It is a depressed school. The Go Atanda Basic School in the Bongo district has so many challenges. The school was started in 1965, but collapsed. Children could not trek 1 hour to the next community. And so, when the school collapsed, these kids drop out.
More of the children cannot walk out to the other school. Because of that, I have one of 2 boys, Pascal with 1 boy, but that one has passed away. And they are planned that they will start it. And I want to buy blackboard for them. I used to buy chalk for them. And they're using it voluntarily. And people are laughing, say that we are just making it campaign. And I said, not campaign.
In 1992, Pascal Ayamga, a volunteer, picked up the school. Many kids who were home were brought to school.
Initially, we started with about 50, but now they are numbering over 200.
The District Assembly and Education Directorate took up the challenge.
This is the Go Atanda Primary School. You can hear the voices around me. Now, there's no structure. This structure is a local church, and that is what it is used as a primary school. 4 voices, 4 teachers are teaching. Let me show you KG1. This is KG1. You can find about roughly 26 of them. Their teacher is handling them. Now, of course, the way they are learning even portrays a difficult situation. Right behind them is class 3 or P3, sitting very close to KG1. Whatever this teacher is teaching certainly is getting to the other side of the class. That is not the end of the difficulty. Now, turn your attention to the other corner of the room. This is P2, primary 2, sitting directly opposite P3. And the teacher is also teaching. You can imagine what these kids are absorbing. That doesn't end it. If you go right behind P2, then you can find P1, primary 1, with a teacher also teaching in this environment. Certainly a very, very serious environment. Teaching and learning in a difficult situation, children trying hard to absorb something, teachers trying to teach, but in a difficult situation. The Ghana Education Service has posted 5 teachers here. There are 3 volunteers, 2 of them from the Youth Employment Agency and 1 volunteer. Over 1,000 children are located around the area. How to get them to acquire education is a difficult task.
Kids here are deprived. Neglect is so high. They learn under trees. In fact, it is a difficult situation for pupils and teachers who teach and learn under very trying and difficult conditions.
This is a level of deprivation. This is a level of neglect. Now the kids are on break, and this is what they use to play. They simply have no equipment. In fact, they don't even have the structures to sit in. So talk about equipment to play, it is not there. And so this is how they do it. They hang on these trees and play for recreation. This is how deprived the Go Atanda Primary School is.
The community is eager to have its kids educated and so have made all effort to support the school. Teaching under this condition is a heavy burden. These kids will write the same basic education examination with colleagues in better endowed and resourced schools.
This time it's a rainy season. If you're here and the rain comes, you have to run away. You don't have any place to go. This block is only the block for us. So we always run in there with the children.
The district assembly says providing buildings for schools is a challenge.
The money isn't there, and we don't know when the money will come. So what we ought to do is to work within our local resources. That is why we need to improve upon our IGF. We need to task the people. We need to call on our citizens, those Bongo people who are outside, to come to our aid. Like I mentioned the other time, Professor Kabza and co are all working so hard to bring development to the community. So I'm using this platform once again to appeal to Bongo people who live elsewhere to come to our aid, because we need to pay back. This is where we all started. This is where all of us started our basic education.
The Education Directorate is also challenged. The wish is to provide a structure for Go Atanda Primary, but it is also in a difficult situation.
Go Atanda case is actually a case that we picked up with one school at Akulio. Atanda is the challenge. It's a priority. Unfortunately, I'm handing over.
These kids will have to go to school under trees until some funding is secured to put up a structure for them. Bright Nananfo, TV3.
Now let's do some health and work on maternity complex for Yala in the Y East district of the Upper West region has started some 8 months after Mission visited the community and district authorities. The Yala community is excited and residents are participating fully in the putting up of the facility. Bright Nana Amfo reports after completion, pregnant women will no longer have to share the same room with men when being examined.
It was joy during the groundbreaking ceremony. Women had to lie in the same room as men. Some had to sleep on the floor due to inadequate space. Some refused to attend clinic because they were shy.
They are always mixed up with other male patients who are being accommodated in some small room which have been created through their own initiative. So it's always become difficult, and as a result of that, most of the pregnant women feel shy to come to the health center when they are in labor for the fear that they will be put together with other male patients.
The nearest facility was far away. District health authorities and the community accepted the challenge following Mission's interaction with the community. A new facility had to be constructed.
The labor ward was too limited, too small, and it needed expansion. And in fact, the community embraced it, and they said, instead of expanding it, we want to put up a new structure so that other things could be done within the same block. And we have seen that already they've hit the ground running, and it will only need some other more support from everywhere in order that this project can go on.
Immediately, work started with the acquisition of a proposed plan.
The first site plan was drawn and presented to us, but it was actually substandard. So we asked the person to go back and then do another work. So he presented the second one, but it was also beyond the standard. I mean, it was beyond what the community can afford. So we asked him to go back and then make the two. He actually promised that by next week, he would present the final plan for the work to continue.
Community participation is key. Collection of stones and all other labor works is being provided by the community. Over 4,000 women will be beneficiaries. The facility caters for 3 communities, and each community is contributing 500 cedis each. After completion, traveling long distances to access maternity care will be over.
We are appealing even to the government, if only he can come to our aid so that our lives will be safe in this community.
Women who refused to attend clinics during pregnancy will reduce. The Assembly is heavily supporting the community.
The initiative that they took is something that we are encouraging all communities. During my visits to the communities, I made it clear to all the communities that I visited that any community that will initiate any project to improve upon the living standards of the community, then the Assembly will be ready to also partner with them, take part of the course and complete it for them.
The Yala Health Center serves over 4,000 people. The facility is well staffed but lacks space to make operations smooth. A maternity wing, when completed, will improve healthcare and protect pregnant women from avoidable deaths. The District Assembly is poised to improve healthcare for the over 72,000 population of Wa East in the Upper West region. Bright Nanafo, TV3.
Well, that's all for Mission Tonight. It is supported by Star Ghana with funding from Danida, the UK Aid and the European Union. Stay tuned for more news.
Hello again, let's do some more stories. And Ghana's wood carving industry is replete with creativity and admired by the world. However, in recent times, the industry has not received the needed attention to enable it develop as a major export commodity. My Paul Soa explores the prospects of the industry.
Ghana's handicraft industry has been in existence for centuries. It was started by our forefathers as their artistic works, and it was economically dependable for them. Their products, which included wood carvings, precious jewelry, earthenware bowls, drums, cane products, imitation jewelry, among others, were used as decorative artifacts which serve as a sign of their ancestral origins. This craft has continued from generation to generation and mostly within families. The art center here in Accra is the heart of the wood carving industry in the capital. Paul Benson, a wood carver of 20 years, gives me insight into what he is creating.
Ajinyami means except God. This man and woman, two heads is better than one.
He explains the business is seasonal and there are times he makes money. Michael Ajiri, also a wood carver of 15 years, explained the meanings of some of his works.
This is something we call unity. They say two eggs are better than one. When we come together like this, we can do something. But you alone to do something is very difficult. Then you put a bowl on it like this. You can put fruit, sweets, anything at all inside. The last price we can sell this was 100 Ghana cedis. Now the business is everywhere. The price I'll take, maybe somebody will not take that price. Maybe I'm able to sell it 100, somebody will sell it 80, somebody will sell it 50.
But a worry on the minds of these artists is a coming to an end of their location at these grounds as the Marine Drive project takes shape.
By from our sources, they are telling us, fine, after we move into Kaukudi, when this project 2 is being completed, this place, the price will definitely be high. So you will decide. If you can afford, then you come here. If you cannot, then you have to be at Kaukudi.
Data from the Ghana Export Promotion Authority has shown that non-traditional export earnings from the handicraft sector grew by 23% in 2015, from $3.7 million in 2014 to $4.27 million, a far cry from what other economies earned from the sector. Certainly, government has to do more to promote the sector to ensure their full potential is realized. My Paul Sora, TV3, Accra.
You're still watching News 360. We'll be back with sports with Thierry Nyan. After this, don't go away. In entertainment this evening, Miss Golden Stool, a beauty pageant that has at its heartbeat the promotion of the Ashanti culture and traditions, has been launched. The concept was influenced by the need for the youth to appreciate the full worth of the Ghanaian culture and not be fixated on foreign ones.
The idea of the Miss Golden Stool was conceived by two former contestants of TV3's Ghana's Most Beautiful, Equia 2011 GMB winner and Bedu 2016 GMB finalist.
Whilst we believe in the concept of globalization, we believe that those that have competitive advantage in the global world are those that are able to capitalize on their unique and distinct strengths. At Miss Golden Stool, we are focused on two strategic goals: impacting the society and promoting our culture and traditions to the world.
Co-founder of the initiative and former GMB finalist Bedu explained the ultimate winner of the change-driven pageant will serve as development ambassadors for the region.
It's not going to be just any pageants that we wake up one day, we want to crown somebody, so we give a crown and maybe a car and then a cash to that person. But we want to ensure that whilst we are promoting our rich culture and traditions, we are also grooming ladies who will take up roles in the society. So this year is laser focused on sanitation. So maybe in the subsequent years we may have different focus and all that. So once that is done, then they are going to be ambassadors to help and develop their community.
2016 GMB Queen Yaba endorsed the initiative.
So if this is a pageant that would focus on the culture of Ashanti region, which is the beacon of cultures when it comes to Ghana, I think it is a very good cause, and then it would empower women, it would teach our young ones about our culture, and that is just perfect. Thumbs up to them. I pray that they will get all the support they need.
The maiden Miss Golden Stool will be crowned on December 18, 2018.
Now, in another beauty pageant-related news, winner of Miss Ghana 2002, Shaida Buhari, has confirmed that men ask for sex before they agree to sponsor pageants. 3 former winners of the beauty pageant, Miss Ghana 2010, Stephanie Kakari, Miss Ghana 2013, Giuseppina Nana Equia Befi, and Miss Ghana 2015, Antoinette Delali Kemevo, have all in the past mustered courage to speak about how the ladies are used as sex bait for sponsorship deals. Speaking about the subject, 2002 winner Shaida noted there are several men who wanted sex before they will sponsor her project. She revealed, quote, "I came across a lot of men who said, if you want to get sponsored, let me sleep with you. The sex for favor phenomenon bounce," unquote. But according to her, she never fell for such offers. And again, it all comes down to morality. She says, "Thankfully, I can beat my chest that I never allowed myself to be used by any man. No man had sex with me in the name of Miss Ghana." That's Shaida speaking. So the Me Too story is about to take off in Ghana, right? Or it's already underway?
Well, hopefully they will come out more and speak up against such issues. That's how we wrap up News 360 here tonight. But before we go, a recap of the headlines.
50 flood victims at Esreso in the Busumchi district of the Ashanti region rescued.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia urges Ghanaians to shun political and religious differences and prioritize nation building.
Ghana LPG Operators Association threatened legal action should government implement the cylinder recirculation policy.
And on mission, residents of Yala in the Wa West district of the Upper West region excited about construction work on new maternity block after mission reportage on health challenges some 8 months ago.
And on the foreign front, polls underway across Mexico after a campaign marred by some of the worst political violence in the country's history for decades. And that's it for this edition of News 360. My name is Issa Moni.
And I am Solis Rose Quarter. We've been live on DSTV channel 279 as well as across our other interactive platforms, social media, Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. Have a good evening.